Hello.
If we've heard it once, we've heard it 1,000 times. Oh, New Zealand's so expensive. Oh, the cost of living in New Zealand is high. So we thought we would bring to you 7 things that are surprisingly cheap in New Zealand. Any of them? Why are you saying that? That is a bold statement.
Who's the Italians are going to come
No,
around.
I don't
come
care.
knock on your door. There'll be
No.
mafia people there tomorrow. You wake up with a horse next to you on your bed.
With an ice cream cone in its mouth. Let's jump on in and see what they are.
It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him.
Mother thanks you.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
If you haven't been to our channel before, we're husband and wife. We talk everything about New Zealand, travel, moving to New Zealand, what it's like to live in New Zealand, and just chew the fat on lots of good stuff. And today we're going to be talking to you about surprisingly cheap things that you'll find in New Zealand.
Yep. So we have lots of people sort of saying, back family and things like that, oh, it's too expensive in New Zealand. It's so much cheaper in the UK.
Yeah.
Tesco's.
Yeah, they're always saying
Anyway.
that. And yes, New Zealand isn't a cheap country. You know, we all know about
It's
the
not Asia.
prices of houses and all the rest of it. And this is not what we're interested in. What we're going to talk about is the things that we found in the last 12 years that we go, oh, that's a lot cheaper than we would normally pay back in the UK.
Yeah.
So that's what we're sharing with you today. So number one, the first thing that really took us by surprise was the price of vet bills in New Zealand.
Yeah, because we've got sheep and cats and dogs and...
We've got 6 sheep, a dog and a cat. And, you know, they can add up those bills, can't they? When one of them goes wrong and everything and you've got to start taking them to the vet. But yeah, going to the vets in New Zealand... I remember we've got a dog, we've got a Mastiff Labrador, and she used to like eating stones on the beach. You just couldn't stop her. Sounds a bit weird, but, a stone gobbler.
Yeah.
And
you run over to her to get that stone out of her mouth, and then that one time she swallowed it, didn't she?
yeah, and my brother was here from the UK, and he's a dog trainer back in England. And she'd eaten this stone and I won't go into the details, but she needed surgery. And my brother said, oh, you're going to be looking at about $5,000 there. And I was thinking, oh no, how are we going to afford it? You know, and you don't want to, you love your dog and everything like that, but it's like, you can't help but think, oh, how much is that going to cost? And she went into the vets and they opened her up.
Yep, operated on her, took a section of the gut out which the stone had stuck into.
Yep. Kept her in there like 3 or 4 days, did loads of stuff with her, and the bill came in and it was like $1,000.
Yeah.
And which is still a lot of money, don't get me wrong.
It's a lot of money, but not as much as
you were
expecting.
paying.
Yep.
We were paying in England. We didn't have a dog in England, but we had a cat, and that was expensive enough.
Yep.
And so I just thought I'd share with you that. And also just for the cat people out there, my mum's cat literally last week went into the vet. So I just thought I'd share the prices with you. She got a gouge in her stomach. And so she was taken in, given stitches, put under, given stitches, had one of those big plastic things.
Collar of shame.
Yep, cone of shame. That's sent home with a cone of shame. Stayed in overnight, sent home, and the bill came to $360. That's cheap.
To be honest, for cat to go in overnight,
and
a vet to look after them and operate, and anaesthetic and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I just wanted you to know that, because it was like, if you are coming to New Zealand and you've got pets and you're thinking, gonna have to take that into consideration. Yes, but it's not as expensive as you think it is.
Yeah.
By the way, these things that we're talking about, we keep referring back to the UK. That's where we're from. Yeah. Some things, like if you're from America, you might be thinking, oh, no, well, actually, I wouldn't pay that much. Let us know how much you pay for things. It would be really, really good for you to just share that.
I would imagine vet bills in America would be huge.
Everything's huge in America, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just big.
It's just a huge country.
Everybody's big in America.
Yeah. Right, number 2, second-hand European cars, cheaper in New Zealand than certainly in the UK.
Yeah, so we're not talking like sort of 2-year-old luxury Range Rovers and things, because they probably are a little bit cheaper to import from the UK and stuff like that if you're prepared to take the gamble. But generally, so say you're looking at, cars we're talking like for kids, like my son and my daughter,
Don't call them kids.
They're not kids. No, Sunny is 20 and Tessa is 17.
When you said that cars
Yeah.
for kids, I pictured that little
I
red and yellow
know.
plastic thing that
Yeah,
they used to
that's it, yeah.
drive around the house. They're cheap.
Push along with your legs. That's it. Yeah.
Get in there,
That's
Sonny.
a European car.
We know you're 20, but get in there and drive that.
Yeah. A Flintstone style car.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what it is most people in New Zealand buy Japanese cars, or Korean, depending. But they're the main two cars that it's a go-to car as a Japanese car. Your Mazdas, your Toyotas, your Mitsubishis, and all that sort of thing. So I was thinking about this. Are Japanese cars better than European cars? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, people say, "Oh, they're bulletproof." I think in the late 80s and the most up to around about 1998. Japanese cars went through a very reliable stage, but then they started relying on electronics, just like all the other cars, to get the emissions right and, get this squeeze all that extra mileage out there at the gas tank as such. So they go wrong. They go wrong big style.
Yeah, but when they go wrong in New Zealand can access their parts. That's what everyone says to me. Don't buy a foreign car because you won't be able to get the parts.
Yep. And there aren't any parts available for Japanese cars because they'd never go wrong. So... yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, but this day and age, there's great shipping available from the UK for European parts. If you want to get it, if you find out they're too expensive over here, the part, you can get it shipped, and normally it takes about 7 days to ship it from the UK. So I'm not being funny. It can take that long to get the part from Auckland sometimes.
I didn't realise you were so hot under the collar on this topic, Brian. It's getting you a little bit.
Do you know why?
Little bit
Because
agitated,
I
isn't it?
I spent a bit of time, because we brought a Range Rover in from the UK, and I spent 6 weeks stripping it down and taking all the sand, getting it sandblasted and putting it all back
What's
together.
that got to do with the price of
Because I
fish?
spent a lot of time up at the local garage up at the top here. He's a Land Rover specialist, and he really laughs when people say, "Oh, Toyota Land Cruisers, they're the best thing in the world."
Does
He'll
he?
just go, "Yeah, but he fixes them all the time."
How does he laugh?
Ha ha ha! The real Kiwi style.
Right, never mind you little ranting and raving.
Oh, so anyway, yeah, and I've had Japanese cars. We had a don't get me started on Japanese cars. Yeah.
Have we ever owned a Japanese car,
Yeah,
Brian?
we had a Mitsubishi hand grenade.
What does that mean?
It just blows up all the time.
Right, so we have owned a Japanese car, but getting back to the topic, we own a Peugeot. Me and Brian drive a Peugeot. My son is 20, he drives a Golf, and my daughter has just bought herself a little Mini.
Yep.
So we were going to share with you how much those cars cost before Brian went on his ranting and raving. And also, if you don't want to make the same mistake as we did, we bought this rubbish car when we came to New Zealand. Go and check out our mistakes that we made. Yeah. 5 mistakes we made when we first drove.
That was an old Subaru Forester, wasn't it?
You chose that.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. It was me thinking I better get a Jap car when I go to New Zealand.
Right.
For under $5,000.
How much did Sonny pay for his Golf?
So his Golf is a 2010. He bought it probably on 2 years now. 2 years ago. It was a 2010. It had done something like 75,000 Ks. It was a 1.4 TSI, which means turbo stratospheric injection, twin turbo thing. 180 horsepower. Very good fuel economy, electric windows and all those sort of things. Yep, it's never missed a beat in the last 2 years, and that's a 20-year-old.
How much was it?
Driving it, $6,800.
I'm not even going to go because it'll take me all the podcast to tell you. But I'm not even going to go on about how I think he shouldn't be driving that car. Really, Sonny, Brian.
No, I think
It's too fast for
realistically,
him.
we bought a 1.4, but. A bit sort of until I drove it, I was thinking, how much horsepower is in this thing? Because it doesn't feel like a 1.4 to me.
I go in it with him, and honest to God, I'm fearing for my life.
Yes.
I'm so scared because it goes, that thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
It's got a 7-speed Tiptronic gearbox, and it just absolutely flies.
And Tessa had bought a Mini, and it cost her $4,000.
$3,800.
Right.
That was a 2003 Mini 1. And I think that one had done 120,000 K. but it's immaculate.
It's gorgeous.
Fantastic.
It's bloody uncomfy.
Yeah, it's bumpy. It's the bumpiest car I've ever driven
And
in
I
the
feel
world.
so sorry for her because
Even more bumpy than a tuk-tuk.
Yeah, it is. I feel so sorry for her because she paid for this car for herself. She works in a cafe and she's paid it off, and it's her pride and joy. She's 17, and she always, whenever we go out for a meal or go for a drive or anywhere, she always goes, "Oh, let's all go in my Mini," and it's so uncomfy. It literally, you go in it and you feel like you come down this road and you feel like you've been on one of those shaker things, you know,
Yeah,
at
we
the
even,
fairground where they put you on a shaky really hard.
even the lady who we bought it from, she said, "Do you know about Minis?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've driven loads of Minis, like the old-fashioned Minis." And I said, "Why? What's the problem?" She said, "Oh, they're very bumpy." And it's just,
And she didn't
so
tell you
hard.
that blooming thing was wrong with it as well. I'm not happy about
thing
that.
wrong with it?
Remember when you got it back and you said, "Oh, she didn't tell." Oh,
There's
the
never
window.
go wrong European cars. So
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
here we go. Look, here we go. The window was broken. Remember?
Yeah, after about, yes, she said that there was a problem with the window, but it'd been fixed.
If you're watching,
But yeah, the window winder, electric window winder, the cables all broke on it. So yeah, and that cost, the part from Australia cost $230. It took 6 days to get here, and about 2 hours for me to fit it.
and we didn't hear you moaning once, did we, Brian?
No.
Right, number 3, fuel for cars cheaper in New Zealand than the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
Not than America. We know that America is cheaper fuel,
Yeah.
but everything else is.
Yeah, but people go, "Oh, I don't spend that much on fuel a week," like, you know, because they have in the UK, you tend to go for more fuel efficient cars because petrol is so expensive. In New Zealand, they go for the Jap imports, the 2.5 litre V6 in an SUV, and so you're not going to get that economy, you know. And most generally, most Kiwis have at least got a 2 litre engine strapped under that bonnet. At least, I would say.
2 litre strap on.
Yeah,
So
strap-
we used to cost us £100 in the UK. That's the only way I can shut you up, Brian,
Yeah,
is give you a
that's
little
it.
shock. £100. £100 a week to drive our RAV4 in the UK, because we had
Yeah.
a Toyota RAV4 then, because we love Japanese cars.
Yeah.
So we were driving a RAV4 and it was costing £100 a week. In New Zealand, it costs us $100 a week to fill up. And we're always in and out of town,
Yeah,
aren't
we are. We live
Well, you know,
30k out of town, and we go
share
out
the car.
quite a few times a week.
we're
Yeah.
very eco. You know, we share that car because we want to save the planet.
Yeah.
So
Liz uses it one day, I'll use it the next.
yeah. So that's that then. And
Yeah.
then the next one is car insurance.
Yep. So I believe, you know, car insurance, it's crazy because you don't need car insurance in New Zealand.
I
So,
know.
you know, in theory,
Why?
you can save a fortune.
No. But
it's not right. I'm just saying that
I
as,
know.
as a bit of a
That's
joke.
so shocking.
Yep.
Do you know why they don't use car? Why do you not have to have car insurance? Why
I
is
don't
that?
really know. If someone can tell me what it is, I know it's not a suing culture.
Can you just say that again, Brian?
Suing
No, before
culture.
that.
What's that?
What did you say before?
I don't know.
You said, I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't.
Can we just-
It's sometimes I just don't know.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
really?
Well, I admit it. That's what most people do, don't they?
I'm only playing.
I know
I'm
you are.
only teasing. Okay, so Brian doesn't know.
Yep. So if I don't know,
certainly don't
who
know.
knows? Yeah. I you know, I look at these things and think, is it for people who live out in the middle of nowhere? They don't really need it. And it's like, well, yeah, get an exemption or whatever it
don't
is.
know.
But, you know, in most countries, it's illegal to drive on the road without car insurance.
Yeah. I
You know?
couldn't believe it when I found that out. Honestly, I wish New Zealand would change the law because,
I don't think it's great. No.
oh, I don't either. And I think you don't notice it until you've got kids that start driving. And then like we've just told you, you know, Sonny passes his test and he goes out and he can afford to insure himself on that big engine. Whereas
Well, it's not a big engine, but it's a powerful car. You know,
Yeah.
because it's got TSI. I'm not being funny. If you were just passed your test in, say, the UK, you're 18 years old, and you went and got out a GTI, a TSI, anything that's got a little bit of performance there, you will just not get insured.
No.
They will just refuse to insure you.
Yeah.
Or it's like, what's the value of the car? The value of the car is £3,000. Well, it will cost you £4,000 to insure it.
yeah. That's the
And
thing,
it's
isn't
just
it? When
like,
you passed
what?
your test, you couldn't drive anything other than I don't know, is
used
it
to be-
1000cc
but
or
it would-
800cc?
Yeah, it would be
or
like
something?
a 1000cc
Yeah.
Fiesta or something
Yeah,
like
like a
that.
little mini Metro or
just
something.
an old mini or
Yeah.
a mini Metro,
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, a Fiat Uno or whatever.
And it
they're
frightens me, you know, that they can drive around in these big cars but what frightens me more is that they're allowed to drive around without insurance. But
I know.
anyway,
Yep, yeah.
how much do we pay for our
called.
insurance?
So I think Sonny is paying $550 for, and that's fully comprehensive. And basically most people can drive it. His excess, I think, is $500. It could be at his age. I think it's $1,000 excess.
Right.
So if he smashes the car up, he'd lose $1,000 in payback of whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So $500, that's pretty cheap, isn't it? Because you said we were paying £500 in.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the last car I insured when we were traveling around the world. I bought the Range Rover and we drove it for 4 months in the UK, 3 months in the UK.
There's another story that we haven't told you yet. We went to England, we bought a Range Rover and thought, let's bring it back to New Zealand to make money.
Because that's what I'm saying, the luxury side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we can help you there.
6 weeks under the car.
Right, okay. Number 5. So sorry, have you said everything you wanted to say about the car?
About
the
insurance. Yeah, I was just saying about the price of the insurance that it cost me in the UK. And this was me, and I used Saga because I'm so old. I could use Saga
sad.
insurance, and I think the cost of it was around about £400 that's £400 at my age to insure a Range Rover.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the year.
Yeah.
It's it's $800 odd compared to what we pay over here for insurance. It's yeah.
Just use Shanks's pony if you want to get around, Brian.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, he's just up the road.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
What then?
It's your feet.
Yeah, Shanks's pony. That's a northern saying from Lancashire. Get on your Shanks's pony.
Yeah.
Means walk. Right. Number 5, if you come into New Zealand with kids, you're going to love this because ice cream. Oh my God, I couldn't believe how cheap ice cream is in New Zealand. Not only that, and I'm going to put a picture up. I'm sure I've got a video somewhere of an ice cream, of us buying one. Honestly, they are huge.
Yeah.
New Zealand ice cream is the best, hands up, hands down, whatever it is, hands up, hands down, in the world. And it's the cheapest in the world, isn't it, Bri?
Yeah. I mean, that's a bold statement to say it's the best in the world.
I think it is.
Okay.
Why?
What, Tip Top? Or you mean Carpety?
Any of them. I like New Zealand ice cream. Why are you saying that? That is a bold statement.
Who's the Italians are going to come
No,
around.
I don't care.
Going to knock on your door.
No.
There'll be mafia people there tomorrow. You wake up with a horse next to you on your bed.
With an ice cream cone in its mouth. No, we've had many of ice cream all over Europe, including Italy. And I still think New Zealand, coffee swirl, whatever it's called, that coffee one down at Foursquare.
You like that one?
Yeah, I do. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's the best you can get. I really do.
So you mean Wall's ice cream is not that good?
No, and also you go to, we went back to England when we were travelling back and literally I got a Cornish ice cream. I've just remembered Cornish ice cream.
With clotted cream?
Yeah. All right then.
A hedgehog.
On a par, no. So we went back and we got an ice cream cone and it was tiny.
Yeah, but
it was something like £3.50.
No, I think it was more like £5.50, Liz. And it was a huge queue for it. Remember down at Polly Joke? Was
no,
it?
but that's a
Pork Joke.
speciality ice cream. That's that you get a Cornish ice cream with clotted cream and then chopped nuts, and I think they roll it in some sort of honey.
Hazelnuts
or
and
some,
things.
that's gorgeous.
That's so good.
Oh my God, that was gorgeous.
It is worth the money.
It is.
Yeah.
But
just outside of St Agnes in Cornwall.
You can come to New Zealand and get a kiddie cone, which is always about $1.
It's big enough for a full
family
human.
of 4. Is it big enough for a family of 4, that ice cream? So if you come into New Zealand with kids, there you go. There's some money you'll save because just feed them ice cream every day. But on a side note, the kids couldn't believe it when they came here, my kids.
It's a way of life over here. I think we have talked about that on another podcast.
We have, but in England it was a treat for them. It was like, can we get an ice cream? And it would literally be, all right then, okay, once a week maybe we'll push the boat out and get you an ice cream.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you go to England,
no, but I was going to say is here they do it after school every day.
Yeah, but that's
pretty much after day.
But what it is, it tends to be scoops of ice cream. Or in the UK, they kind of got rid of most of that, unless you go to a specialist ice cream parlor, where you can't go to the local Spa and get a scoop of ice cream, can you?
I don't. Well,
do you know what I mean? Like a newsagents.
Yeah.
They're all in the freezer. The cornettos and all the pre-made stuff.
I don't like cornettos.
I
don't like Italian
that's
ice
the
cream.
difference. But here, it's like. Anyway, let's move on from ice cream.
Number six, staying with the kids theme, is we couldn't believe it when we came over. Swimming pools, public swimming pools, so cheap. And not only that, brilliant, aren't they, Brian?
Yep, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
They normally got slides and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And, you know, you look at them and you just think, how much again?
Yeah,
'Cause it's
and I'm
so
talking
cheap, isn't it?
$2, two
Yeah.
to three, maybe four max. In fact, I don't probably. I'm talking New Plymouth here.
Yeah.
You can send your kids to the swimming pool for a week, right? Just pack their sleeping bag, and that's all it'll cost you. No, unlimited all day for $4.
Honestly,
max.
and this is you can go in the week and you can drop your child off who is under 14. And is it okay?
No,
Was it not
they
under
have to be
14?
14 to
One
be
of
on
them
their
had to be
own.
14, was
yeah,
it?
Yeah,
Right.
You have to be. You can't just like send your 5-year-olds off and say stay there.
But
all
if you've
day.
got one who's 14 and they
Yeah.
could stay there all day, couldn't
Yeah,
they?
I remember when Sonny turned 14, and I used to, because they were homeschooled, and every Friday they had like a sports day on Friday. Guess where you're going today?
But they loved it though, didn't they?
Run down to the swimming pool,
Yeah.
dry yourself quickly with a towel. Yeah, they did love it. And they used to go in there every Friday. And the day Sonny turned 14, it was like, oh, I felt like a weight has been lifted
Yeah.
because I could actually leave them at the pool and go and do stuff that I had to do in town.
Yeah.
But do you remember we went to that swimming pool in England, just outside Bath? I think it was in Swindon.
No, yeah, it's quite a bit outside Bath. Yeah, no, it was a big one in Swindon, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And it was
I
like,
mean, when we were
take-
living in
take-
Bath.
because they had slides and things like that. And I remember it took about probably nearly 2 hours to get there from where we were.
Yeah.
And it was like Sonny and Tess, they were tiny, weren't they? Sonny was probably 7 and Tessa would have been, should have been 4, wouldn't she?
baby, yeah.
And we got there and it was packed. It was a Saturday morning, about 10 o'clock or something like that, because we'd left quite early saying we're going to get there. And then they give you this rubber band that goes around your wrist with a number on it or a colour. I'm like, what's that for? Oh, it's for your locker. And you're like, okay. And then you realise when you go in there, they start calling anyone with a blue armband on has got to get out.
It's horrible, isn't
We're
it?
driven for 2 hours.
I know.
And we're allowed for an hour. And it cost something like £30 for the family.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's horrible, isn't it?
It's-
Number
it
blue,
was.
get
Yeah.
out.
But it was packed, wasn't it? It
You
was
try and
like,
keep your
oh
hand
my
under the
goodness.
water and stay in a
Yeah,
bit longer.
that's it. Let's hide. Yeah, but they know that they all haven't come back
Yeah,
yet.
they do.
Yeah, crazy.
Right, okay, so that's swimming pool. So you're in for a treat if you've got a child. So send them to the swimming pool with an ice cream,
Yeah.
you'll be done. Right, city parking and parking fines.
Yep. So when we first came to New Zealand, which was 12 years ago, I remember getting a parking fine in town because, I don't know, it was the proper ones where you put the money in the meter. And I think I didn't have that much money on me. And I ran out and I got a parking fine. And the parking fine was $6. £3. £3, you know.
It's not that
or
cheap
what's
anymore,
that?
though.
It's not even $5, is it? Like for a parking fine. And I was like thinking, my goodness. And it only cost $1 an hour to park the car in the middle of the town centre or the city centre. But now it's $2 for an hour in New Plymouth to park your car bang in the middle on the street in the middle of town.
I know loads of free parking in. Do
Yeah,
you know
there's
what?
loads of
Someone
free
wrote on
parking, isn't
YouTube. Someone wrote on the YouTube comments. I didn't take any note of it because I'm not going to rise to it. But they're like, New Plymouth is just a stupid city. They blah blah blah. It's extortionate price in parking. There's no free parking. And I was thinking, you obviously don't know New Plymouth
Yeah, but
because there
there's-
are
yeah.
loads of
The-
free places to park.
Yeah,
in
but
New
some
Plymouth.
places that you go that aren't a city or as big as a city. So, you know, most of the small suburbs, like we were down in Paraparamu last week, weren't we? And it was free parking for half an hour or an hour or something like that, you know, in where the shops were. Because obviously, you know, it's gonna kill the shops out there, isn't it? So that's why you have free parking, is normally to encourage you to go shopping. But when we were in Wellington, it's $4 an hour in the centre of Wellington to park your car. You know,
And that's a city. That's the capital of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Can you imagine parking in London for £2 an hour? Like, you
Yeah,
know,
it
there's
just
no
wouldn't
way
happen.
it would happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, $4 an hour.
that side of it, things are, you know,
And that's the
are-
one right in the middle of Wellington. It's outside the Ugly Bagel cafe. So you can go in there and have a gorgeous bagel.
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle of Wellington. So yeah.
No, that's it. Like, you know, so the parking is cheaper in New Zealand. There's masses of free parking. Most places you go, like dock sites, which are, you know, Department of Conservation, which is equivalent to like not that much the National Trust, but national parks in around the world. everywhere is free.
Yeah.
It's like you do not pay for that parking.
No. And I won't go on about it now, but like I think we've talked about before, if you haven't seen our Canada our Canada video, where to live New Zealand or Canada, that was one of the things that shocked us about Canada is you went to the beach and you had to pay, or you drove everywhere you went, you had to pay to park, and it was like, oh no, that's just annoying. And
no, there's a lot of places free to park, and that's another podcast is talking about Department of Conservation campsites, because they are so cheap.
Beautiful.
$10 a night,
beautiful
for a family, or whatever it is, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, we should have added that on actually.
Yeah, we should have done really.
There you go. Have that as a half. Have that as a little freebie on us.
Thanks.
Department of Conservation.
We've been drinking tea again.
Conversation. Right, okay, last and not least, grab a seat. So internal travel in New Zealand is affordable, to say the least.
The train network in New Zealand is not brilliant. It really, really isn't.
No.
It tends to run north to south and not really east to west or anything like that. So there's no train line that comes through New Plymouth. It's a city, no trains. But there is a good bus network from to most major cities, 1 or 2 a day going out and around. So you can get out on buses and things. There is public transport and it's not expensive. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, the thing that shocked us is when we came over here, people would say, oh, just fly up to Auckland, or I'm just going to fly down to Dunedin. And you'd be thinking, how much is that going to cost? But in New Zealand, they have something, or Air New Zealand has something called Grab a Seat, and you sign up for it and you put your city in where you live, and they send you alerts every day to other cities that you can fly to cheap. You have to book in advance, granted, but you can get flights. You can fly from New Plymouth to Auckland for literally like $19 on a Grab a Seat. That's not with a bag, but
it
is $29, something like that.
But you can fly to Invercargill. I saw it the other day. They sent me an alert through on an email, and just check this out, and you go on. There's a whole bunch of destinations, but Wellington to Invercargill was $59. And that's like over a 2-hour flight on just a regular prop plane, and you just think that's so good, isn't it?
Do you know, when we went back to England a couple of years ago, we wanted to get the train up to London or something like that from Devon, wasn't it?
Yep.
I can't even begin to tell you how much it would have cost for a family of 4 to get the train up there.
Yeah, it was cheaper to buy a car.
It was cheaper to buy a car.
Yeah.
That's why we did. We bought the Range Rover. We'll drive
in style. Yeah. No, public transport, I just think it's crazy.
I wonder if it's expensive in America, public transport.
Do you know what? I don't really know.
No, I don't. If you're in America, how much does it cost to fly internally?
When we were going around the world again, we went from Queens to Manhattan. How much did that used to cost us in the day?
On the bus?
No, on the.
But we had one of those pass things, like those. I can't remember what they're called now, but it's like one of those.
4-day pass where you just use it once, and it's like more for travellers, isn't it? And things.
But anyway, so if you come and you're living in Dunedin and you've got family in Auckland, and you think, or friends in Auckland, and you think, well, I'm never going to get to see them. It's going to cost me the ferry, it's going to cost me this, it's going to cost me that. Just bear in mind that you can get that cheap flight, something that you probably wouldn't take into consideration if like us, you came from England and you thought it's too dear to fly.
Yeah, but I always
you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I always remember like Newquay to London. It was always like £80, £100, £180 to fly to London from Newquay. So you're talking less than an hour's flight really for that. Where I'm talking like a 2-hour flight on a similar plane, and for $59. I know you can't check a bag in for that and this, that, and the other. It's all extra for this, that, and the other.
Or you just wear an extra pair of knickers.
Yeah, but you
just
can
wear 4 pairs of knickers and then just take one off each day.
Well, I can't ever remember on Air New Zealand internal flights being my backpack being weighed that I'm taking on board. As long as you can get it in the locker.
No, excuse me, I can. When we were coming out of Wanaka, they made us unpack it all because it was too heavy.
Out of Queenstown. Yeah.
You can't remember, you see? Yeah. Saga, you're going silly.
Yeah, that's because we only took one case with us. I said, we've only got one case, but you got... Anyway.
Okay, so that rounds up our surprisingly cheap things in New Zealand. We would really love it if you took the time to leave us a comment and just tell us how much you're paying in your part of the world for any of the things that we've just talked about. It would be a great thing to see, wouldn't it?
No doubt there's going to be people say, oh yeah, you can get cheap things like this, in the UK, which yes, you can,
it doesn't matter. We're not talking about that, are we?
Yeah.
So we would just like to say thank you. Thanks so much for being there. And thank you for all your lovely comments.
Yep.
And the emails that you send me are just gorgeous. We really, really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for
Yep.
being there.
Yep. Really appreciate
Podcast
it.
listeners and YouTube watchers.
Please subscribe, hit the subscribe button below, and
hit the notifications
we'll
bell.
keep you updated on everything we do.
Yeah. Okay. So until next week, take care. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, stay strong. Kia kaha. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him.
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello.